Welcome back to another episode, guys. Alright, so today I'm going to try and fix a bit of an issue we've had with our fridge. I don't know whether it's because the size of the fridge that we're running in the compartment, or whether it's the heat up here. I'm not too sure. I think it's a bit of a combination of both, but two reasons why I'm pretty sure the fridge was overheating and then cutting out is A, the size and the quality of the wiring from the battery in through and behind the cover where the relays are, and then into the fridge compartment. It's way too thin. It's not even 4mm wire. Well, actually, you've got a wire that would be probably maybe 4mm, 5mm max. It looks about like it's 8 BNS on the outside, but it's just really thick insulation, so the actual wire itself is quite tiny. The fridge kept on cutting out because it was hot. There's no ventilation in there, which is what I'm doing today. Because it was heating up, it was trying to draw more power, and it was just overloading the wiring, tripping the breaker, and then the fridge would turn off. So, you know, we'd go for a drive, battery's fully charged, we'd pull into camp, open it up, grab a beer out, and the fridge would be off. Get it to turn back on, and it'd be at 8 degrees and the freezer would be at 4 or something. So what I've done just recently, I went down to J-Car, bought a couple of fans, a couple of Sirocco fans. These are your normal 12 volt PC fans. Probably a little bit too large, a little bit of overkill, but the more air that I can get to escape, the better. You just got to be careful when you install these, because there is a direction of airflow, so you don't want to install it that way, say the wrong way, and it's pushing air into the cavity. You want it to go in the right way, suck all the hot air out and shoot it out. And wiring it up is pretty piss easy. So but what I'm going to do, if you have a look in here, this is our cavity. There's no vents. When the door's closed, it's sealed up, so the fridge is just working in its own heat, way too hot. From factory, you've got 240 volt plug that you can use. You've got a cigarette socket and an ando. The ando's got 2 wires coming off it because it's powering something else, but you can see it's pretty thin, pretty useless, and you don't want to have that on all the time because your inverter is going to overheat. Your inverters are underneath the bed. There's a separate issue there. So what I've done, I've got some 8 BNS. I've crudely drilled a hole in the wall onto my own ando. You can see the difference in the thickness of the wires there. Hopefully the camera will pick it up. But yeah, anyway, I've got this coming straight from the battery, so it's going through its own little breakers and everything as well, but we've got power straight from the battery. This here is getting power bypass 2 or 3 other different stops, so this works like a treat. What I'm going to do now is install some fans. So crudely, I'm just going to drill about a 90mm hole about there, and then in the same position down towards the end. They're going to suck inside the van, into the back of the cupboard. Now inside the cupboard there's a cavity, so it's going to come out about here. There's a board that hits on that magnet and that magnet, which closes it off. So I'm going to drill another hole straight down there, so the air will come in, be forced down, and then I'm going to have a hole here with a vent. Just getting a vent. So there'll be a little vent cover. So I'm just going to have that mounted there. So ideally, I'd want to have some ducting coming from there, going down, and then all the way out here. But we're in the bush. I don't have the facilities. Lucky enough, the property where we're staying, he's allowed me to use some hole saws. So yeah, hopefully, so that'll be coming out there, and there'll be a second one on the other cupboard down there as well. So not just going into the cupboard space, it's going to be vented down into the van. You can see the wiring that I've done for my Anderson plug. So straight down along the chassis, straight onto the battery. Have to redo the dodgy silicon job there, but anyway. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be using. And just as a temporary sort of fix while we're in the bush, I'm just going to wire the 2 fans onto this cigarette socket plug here. This one here is one that I actually cut off the fridge. So that was the 12-volt power supply for the fridge. So I've removed that and I've put an Anderson on there. At the moment it's running on 240, just while we get all this done. But anyway, so I'm going to utilise this. I'm going to have both fans wired into here and plugged into the 12-volt socket. The reason being is we've got a fridge switch here, so we can turn it on and turn it off at will. So when we want the fans on, we can just turn it on, the fans will just power away. If for some reason we don't want the fans on anymore, like if we pull up somewhere and take the fridge out, we can just turn them off. So it's an easier way to have some sort of power switching control over the fans. Ideally, when we get home and we have sort of finalized that trip, I'll put a switch in there, but this I think is the easiest way for me to do it while we're stuck in the bush. So I've got some 4mm twin, which is what I'm going to use to connect the fans onto the switch. I've got vent covers and yeah, hole saw. I'm a bit hesitant about drilling 89mm hole in the wall of the van. Got to do that twice, but it's a small price to pay, I guess, to having the fridge working. Our biggest issue, I guess, is that we didn't want to be driving for a couple of hours, 200, 300, 400 k's in the middle of nowhere, pull into camp, and then our freezer's no longer a freezer and all our meat's off, fish, chicken, whatever, we're going to throw it out. So yeah, we'll give it a go and see how it ends up.